First off, thank you for letting me have this interview.
Absolutely.
One of my main questions. I know as head coaches, some people don't think that you guys coach, but what events specifically do you coach?
I mean, right now I work with a little bit of everything. I kind of primarily take over the role of the high jumpers.
Yes.
Then I do kind of more of the coordinating and some things with the men's and women's sprints, and anywhere I can step in to help horizontal jumps, vertical jumps, anywhere like that. Just, I think as coaches, we like to coach. And so if you have a lot of people who have a specialty in different areas, why put them in a corner and say, this is the only thing you're doing? So in the fall, the jumps, the long jump high, and the sprinters all train together kind of for the first couple months anyway. And then we all kind of organically start to shift our own ways, but then we can always still sprinkle in our bits and pieces because we've got to know these athletes, got to work with them, got to develop with them. So
100%. And I feel like it's a very interesting journey, just even as a coach in the recruitment process, going from just an email in your inbox to actually seeing an athlete on campus and, you know, being able to coach them. What are some things that you've seen in emails that are like, absolutely do not email a coach this?
Well, I think the hardest part is because we're numbers driven. So I know sometimes people who may not have the numbers that they feel proud of, they try and do a lot of wordy things and they leave out the numbers. But sometimes if you have the numbers, you have the accolades, just say it loud and proud. If we look at a social media and says my PR is 11.3 and I've run 23.96, like that's gonna catch our eye automatically versus paragraph after paragraph, because a lot of times we're living digitally, we're on the phone, we're scrolling through things. So having sometimes too much information makes it tough. But I think if you have quality information, know that you have quality performances, buzzwords, I was #1 in the country, I was state champ, I ran this time, that time, email could be this short and you would probably get way more responses.
Really? So you're saying keeping more of a concise but quality email is better than trying to list all your accolades down to the bottom?
Yeah, I've never read all of one. I don't think a lot of us will, unless something catches our eye in the very beginning, then we'll go and start digging through it. But numbers in our sport, you know, yeah, if I was a basketball player and I said I averaged 25 a game, that means nothing. Yes. But in our sport, they say you jump 21 feet as a female, you jump 25 feet as a male. At the end of the day, I'm gonna look at that and be automatically, what do you have to tell me now? Because I wanna figure out how I can get in position. I want you to be at my program. So if you have the numbers, you have the accolades, put them out there. If you don't, then you sometimes have to sell other things.
Yes, 100%. So that actually perfectly segue to my next question. What percent of the recruiting process is hitting the numbers and what percent is personality, fit? I guess what would you put percentage-wise on that?
In our sport, I would be lying to you if I'd say that 75 to 80 to almost 90% of its numbers. When it comes down to even it being 100%, now you're trying to find out what could be the reason why, what could be some of the problem issues, what could be maybe potential character, academic. You start, as soon as you find out somebody really good, you try and start searching for red flags. And if there's no red flags, and that's when we start to go all in. If we get them on a visit to campus and just the vibe, the effort, the heart, the academics, all those things start to match, then we're trying to sell you more than we're trying to pick you apart. If vice versa, you're gonna have programs trying to find out more of what's wrong, not necessarily more of what's right.
That's super interesting. So do you tend to like to recruit athletes that are more interested in you and you don't like to have to sell the program because you kind of want the athlete to want to go here, right?
No, I think it's a little bit more mutual. I've always felt like I had the most success when people absolutely want to be at your program because of the coaching. Yes. I don't want somebody to come to my program because they love the hotel room or the lanyard I gave them, but I want them to come to this program because they feel like this is where they can become the best version of themselves. And once you have that kind of connection with a prospective student athlete, everything starts to move a little bit smooth. It becomes a little more organic. Even if you don't get them, they go to another school, that relationship's already built. I'm not saying we're living in some world where I'm recruiting high schoolers to prep them for a transfer, but when you build strong relationship with coaches, then somebody were to get on the portal, or somebody were to change schools, they're probably going back to one of the schools that left the biggest impression on them. And they had the best kind of felt like working relationship between athlete coach.
Yeah, 100%. That's actually super interesting. So when it comes to Oklahoma, or I guess even SEC or with the new roster limits, what do the recruiting timelines look like?
It's still tight. I think on the men's side, it's always going to be a tight timeline because even if people had more scholarships, things increase, which not every school is going out there maxing out the numbers like that. You get to the point you still don't have some huge pot to work with on the men's side. So it's kind of tight. I don't want to call it first come, first serve, but if you have somebody that's in that considered elite SEC category and they say they're coming to your school and they're telling you that in October, you're locked in, you're ready to sign them second Wednesday in November. But if you have somebody saying, well, I'm going through the process and I'm going to maybe try and wait till January, I'm going to try and go through a few indoor meets. Now there can be contesting against the portal that opens after the indoor season. I mean, at the cross country season, another portal that opens after the indoor season, another one that opens up in the summer. So your recruiting pool of talent and the likelihood of people willing to roll that dice for somebody who may be a little less unproven than a collegiate athlete who's been out there and already stood on podiums at conference and nationals, it makes our job, I don't want to say tougher, but it makes it way more transparent. We're going after the better person, better available person. So I think in our world, if you're still interested in development, you're interested in trying to take young athletes and try and get them to the levels that we had to do our entire careers, and you want to take your time with it, you don't have to feel like you have to rush that process. I think you can do a really good job with that still. But if your job's on the line, you're getting head coach calling you off and saying, I need this, and this, it's going to be a little tougher to take some of the chances on on people who have to be coached and developed in order to see their true kind of potential and worth, if you're talking about scholarship dollars to points or whatever you want to look at, to truly come out.
So do you appreciate when an athlete is very transparent upfront about their scholarship situation, or do you think that conversation about money is just kind of awkward and to leave it for a phone call? Because I know with some of my athletes that are in, like, you know, serious financial situations, like scholarship does matter. Is it okay to be open on the first email?
I think it's critical to be open both ways. I think everybody wants scholarship, but I mean, if I read an email and it was a kid who really, really wanted to come to my school and they're just open and honest saying, look, coach, I really want to be a part of your team. Yeah, let's say I've jumped 24-1. That's not a big scholarship thing. Or say if I've ran 1060, 1050, but financially I'm in a good spot. If you give me a shot, let me run there. If I can make a roster spot, I can do this. I would love to come to OU. Something like that. Yeah, I could probably jump on that and talk to the staff and like, let's work with this kid, because financially we may not have it, but potential wise, heart, effort, you want to earn it, here it is. But it's also the opposite way. If you have somebody that has those kind of marks, those kind of accolades, now we're at a stage on the men's side, yeah, you're still talking dollars and cents. On the women's side, I'd be shocked if anybody's trying to go through a level where it's, oh, how do we get to the 75%? How do we get to this part of just tuition? Because if you're elite, you're no longer signing a female athlete for a low partial scholarship. Those days are done. And those days aren't done on the men's side yet, but I still think they're at a point where there's still some significant kind of challenges when it comes to building a men's roster with limited money.
Do you think it's a lot more difficult to build a men's roster just in general?
Yes. And I would say it's a little more difficult because there's going to always be limitations. If we're trying to get 35-person roster, you're in most programs, 95, 99% of them don't have 35 scholarships. So there's still people that could be elite that are going to some version of debt out of their pocket to go to schools that they love and they want to run for. You know, I'm not saying I'm not a fan of it, I'm this, that, whatever, but if there's some other options and you don't have to pay a ton of money out of your pocket, this, that, whatever, then yeah, sometimes people pursue that. But I think biggest part is you have to find a place that you truly want to be and gives you the incentive that if I do reach this level, then maybe I do take care of this level.
Do you turn down a lot of athletes that are time qualified because you personally don't think they'd be a good fit on the team?
Not a lot. It doesn't happen very often, but I do think when you start talking about character and culture of a program, you can't just be desperate for the best person, the fastest person. You have to find the right fit. And if you kind of build a quality culture, having the wrong pieces come in there, and that's why we get our athletes heavily involved in the recruiting process, we got to get the thumbs up, thumbs down from them. And there's been some times that they've said, we don't think this person's the right fit. And as a coaching staff, when we don't listen to that, it's kind of our fault what happens from there. And so as a staff, as a whole, we have to do our due diligence when it comes to getting to know them, building these relationships, understanding what families they come from. We're not looking for perfect people. There's going to be people who make mistakes. Not everybody's going to be straight A's. But if we can find the people that know they want to work hard and they have things that they want to achieve, it makes it a lot easier to kind of pour in that time and investment. And I would say for us, even risk that investment into them if you know it's a limited number.
So when it comes to the recruitment process, I know the primary person you want to talk to is the athlete. What is a parent's role from your perspective? How should they be involved? Should they be the ones contacting you? Should they be the ones trying to hover over it? Or what should they be doing?
I mean, I think they all play an important role. You know, there's some parents that are kind of overzealous. They may be making more decisions for their athletes, but I think for the most part, these parents these days are doing a much better job. And every parent's going to walk here and say the same thing. I have my opinion, but at the end of the day, it's their choice. Yeah. I don't think I've heard a parent say, when they leave here, I'm making a choice, coach. I'm just letting you know. I've never heard that one time, even if they may apply certain pressures, but parents aren't really meant to, I don't know, make the choice, but they definitely play a major role of eliminating choices. If there's something they don't feel, there's a vibe they just don't like, something they just don't trust. But I think it's important to get involved with parents. I think it's important to get to know. I think it's important for them to know our families, us know their families, because once they come to a place like Oklahoma, I want them to feel like it's one big family. So if we're gonna not welcome them then and not talk to them later, or tell them that once your son or daughter's at my school, back away, we got them from here. And I like when they're involved. I like when they come to meet. That typically means there's a PR on the way or something because they get that extra support. But I want them to feel like it's a part of their family too, because we are taking the reins from them. We are saying we're gonna help them, you know, kind of develop and grow to the next level. And sometimes the input that they can give us on lifing them, you know, every now and then, that's important. I love for a parent to say, look, something's going on at home, or something's going on with girlfriend, something's going on with uncle, aunt. I'd love to have that background versus kind of beat our heads against the wall just because we didn't connect our resources together and all come together to help this young man or woman navigate life that's going to happen from the age of 20 to 24 or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's when you find yourself. So I guess what gives Oklahoma the advantage over most other D1 schools? Why should somebody come here?
I mean, I think the one thing that's unique to us that I'm going to always pride ourselves on, we're a tight-knit group as a staff, as a university. Just up and down this hallway, we can probably count 17 national championships or something like that. And so we kind of create this environment. But the big thing for me, if you're going to come here and a mom or dad drop their son or daughter off here, they're going to know that son or daughter is going to be taken care of. They're going to be challenged. They're going to be pushed. We want them to make straight A's. We want them to have 4.0s. We want to make sure they get meaningful degrees, but we're going to try and apply excellence to everything they do. program. So I know they weren't going to be at your house, you know, going and leaving anytime they want to, missing class whenever they wanted to, not working hard, disrespecting you, disrespecting, you know, neighbors, friends, whatever. We want to make sure we uphold those same standards, but still allow them to have the freedom to kind of grow and explore and still have the best collegiate experience. But I think if you're going to notice one thing different if you come to Oklahoma, which I hope you notice, you're going to spend some time at my house. You're going to get to know every coach's family. My house is going to have 25 kids or 15 kids running upstairs, jumping in the pool. You're going to have our athletes interacting and kind of really getting to know each other. You're going to see our athletes stop what they're doing in the middle of practice and come speak to you. They're genuinely excited about trying to grow this program because I've challenged them to make it their program.
One of the biggest things I've noticed about this place, and I know you were talking about the more family aspect. I know it's a big time program, it's an SEC school, but it doesn't feel like a business here. It feels like that home vibe, which I know one of the biggest things when it comes to development. If you're mentally healthy outside of your sport, and you feel like you have a family, you can perform more in your sport. So it seems like what you guys' goal is to curate that type of environment of, you know, you got your friends, you got your family, we're your family. So if you're good here, then on the track, you get that full trust aspect.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of the biggest things. So I guess how important is it to you to create that family aspect?
I don't think there's any way we get trophies or championships or any one of our goals without that. We're not going to just go outspend. I joke around. We're not going to go out sexy everybody, having the nicest stuff, this, that, whatever. I think the biggest thing that we can do is be ourselves and be genuinely us. And we don't have to try and portray any other kind of program. I think us being us allows us to kind of figure out who you really are, understand different dynamics. You know, Coach Davis, who you spoke with and done a lot of things with, I don't know anybody who gets to know their athletes, these athletes' families, who can put them on speed dial any given day if there's any kind of concern, just to check on the work. I just want our entire staff to be that way. I want anybody to be able to walk in my door anytime and be able to come speak. I don't want to feel like we're not approachable or you got to make an appointment to come see me. It's just, you see me, we're going to joke with you. We're going to have a good time. We're going to make sure you get to put your best foot forward and have the best experience. And when it's all said and done, it's a place that you call home. It's a place that's yours. And no matter who comes and goes, and none of us can claim to be Sooners for life like they can. But if it's their program for life, then we get to babysit it for a while and make sure we continue to elevate it.
And it's super awesome to see, because I know just even being able to speak with you, a lot of head coaches at some programs, they don't even want to talk to the athletes. They're kind of just like that guy away. So that's what goes hand in hand with just having that family culture. Because if an athlete feels like he can just come in and speak to you, then he knows that, you know, the whole team has his back.
That has to be there. I don't know another way. I've never known another way outside of that.
100%. So I guess if you were to give some advice to an athlete who was kind of struggling in the recruitment process to be seen by coaches, what is the best way to contact a coach in the most appropriate way?
I mean, the best way to contact a coach is to go put the work in every day, go step out there and compete. Because we see things in numbers, we see things in distance, but when you get out there, the way you compete, how you do things, even social media, because we may think of things sometimes, you know, we're in the NIL space and everybody's trying to build this brand. I mean, sometimes these kids build a brand and we can see it. We can see in a way, the marketability, the effort, the work. But I think the one thing you have to do is be honest. And I think you need to be as clear and upfront as possible. If it's down to dollars and cents and that's going to be the only way you can go to that program, sometimes you got to say that. If it's going to be about just the opportunity, then you have to say that too. And if you have goals, you have ambition, there's things you're trying to create. If there's videos or things that can show what you've been working and how you're progressing, sometimes, you know, you can get a few more clicks that way. But I think ultimately the bottom line is you got to go out there, you got to work your tail off and perform, because in order to kind of jump into this game and get into these elite conference, elite level programs, numbers still matter. Now, like I said, it's different than basketball. You don't have to be on the star team. You don't have to go to the tournament. You don't have to win your championship. If you go 0 for 20 on your basketball team, but you average 35, you probably won't get recruited because you don't seem like a winner. But if you're on a team that doesn't have a relay or 4x1, but you can go out there and hop out there and go 10-2, or you can hop out there and go 11-1 or 11-2 or 23-point, guess what? We're all going to still watch you. And I'm not telling you don't be a team player, but you got to be willing to do things that other people aren't. Meaning if it's going to work every day, going to sleep early, looking at the proper nutrition, the proper plan, and the mental and personal and mental performance and development, and, you know, just being able to stay in tune with the people that are trying to help you get there, I think you have a better shot. And then I think a lot of times you get these coaches to truly vouch for you, because that's who a lot of times we end up believing in the most anyway, because we've dealt with them before. If you're coaching, we know you're coaching, we've dealt with some of these coaches. If they aren't vouching for you at that same type of level, it makes it a little difficult, because we've had athletes from these programs and they may know your work ethic. And so they may not call us on your behalf the same way because they don't necessarily trust you're going to come in and work that. So, you know, I don't want coaches out there lying for these athletes and things like that, because I think they do a good job of that. They're going to promote their athletes. But I think when you really reach that level, you have a coach that will go to the ends of earth to try and help you out. Even if they're just a football coach coming, getting their stipend to come coach you at track. If they see something special, they see the work ethic in you, they're going to work for you.
100%. I definitely agree. I mean, thank you so much. You
Yes,
definitely
sir.
said a lot of insightful things. And honestly, I even learned just speaking to you about, you know, just being your experience you've had as a head coach. So, 100% thank you so much.
No, absolutely. Appreciate you coming out. out, man.
No, absolutely. I'm happy to promote the program.